Morning everyone. I wanted to jump on and do a quick live because I haven't been around much this last couple of weeks because I've been dealing with a sick cat and it's taken a lot of my time and energy, as I'm sure, or should I say my emotional energy for sure, as those of you who have pets will know how challenging it is when our little furries get sick. But that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is, like, I guess an energy update in regard of collective energy. And I've talked about this on a couple of my YouTube channels, on a couple of my YouTube videos, over the last year, predominantly because I find that 2024 and 2025, they were always predetermined to be really intense years, an intense cycle. And I think what is happening on a collective scale is basically the scales are kind of tipping from one extreme to the other. And I find that for myself personally, and also a lot of my clients, well, I would say all of my clients and a lot of my students, we're literally going through these massive highs and then massive lows. Like, it literally is tipping from one scale to the next. And I found personally that what we are all, those of us who are walking this inner path, the path of doing the inner work, doing the shadow work, doing the ancestral work, and working to help the evolution of the collective and assisting the dimensional ascension of our planetary consciousness, that we're really going through it at the minute. Because we're literally shedding, and it's no coincidence. Obviously this year is the year of the serpent, the year of the snake in Chinese New Year, and also we are in a numerological year 9, which is the year of completion. So all roads have led to this point. And in 2023, we started moving through this bifurcation, the bifurcation of two predominant timelines. There's multiple timelines playing out, and I've talked about this in my previous group, but obviously this group is new within the last few months. So what I've talked about in a previous group, perhaps I should download the videos actually from my previous group and share them here because they will be useful. But I talked about this bifurcation process where, there's these two predominant timelines, which is one is the higher timeline, one is the lower timeline. And during this point that we kind of started moving into the timelines separating, because they've been kind of running concurrently, and a lot of us have been fluctuating between these two timelines. And as we started moving closer towards the bifurcation, it became prevalent that we had to kind of make the choice of which timeline we wanted to step onto for real, and actually take the aligned action and do the things that we needed to do to support that process. So, there's the choice was, and it's a soul choice. It's not necessarily a choice that a lot of people made consciously, because a lot of people have not been aware of this bifurcation process. This is something that I teach in my advanced trainings about all of the quantum mechanics behind all of this. But ultimately, it's when we make that choice on a soul level, then, and we choose to step onto the higher timeline, because that's what those of us who are doing this the light work or the grid work, or we're facilitating and helping humanity on some level, you know, we're in service. So we, you know, we have to step onto that timeline ourselves on a soul level. And ultimately, when we do that, we have to then move through this spiritual integration process, which again, a lot of people are still, even though, you know, a lot of healers think they're spiritually integrated, a lot of them are not. You know, they're not walking the talk, they're not walking the path. There's a lot of people out there, you know, they are doing good work and they believe they're doing good work, but they're not embodied. They're not embodied in their facilitation. They're not embodied in their spirituality. They're not embodied in what they're teaching. It's literally just, a lot of it's plagiarism, and they're just regurgitating things that their teachers have told them and things they've heard. They haven't embodied, you know, that intelligence. And I don't mean intelligence as in, you know, the learning, but, you know, the intelligence of the soul, the intelligence of the higher mind. And so a lot of people have been faced over this last year or two with this inner conflict. You know, they're having this dialogue conflict because they haven't integrated. And ultimately, you know, my work, even more so this last 2 years, has been really, without me even consciously doing this, it really has been quite prominently about soul embodiment and monadic embodiment and helping people to embody. And of course we can, you know, we can flit in and out of this embodiment because, you know, we meet a challenge in the material world, and it can literally pull us out of this this space of embodiment. But when we're aware of it and we understand what's happening, we can come back to our center, and, you know, we can come back to that space of embodiment, and it helps us. This is something that can help us to maintain and to process all of the overwhelm of the things that are happening now in the material world. And what I wanted to just talk about really was just how a lot of people, because of this bifurcation, and again, a lot of people not really understanding this, people have been really experiencing a lot of deep materialistic challenges. You know, people losing their jobs, people losing their homes, people separating from long-term partners, falling out with families, losing friends, you know, everything, just so much, you know, people are experiencing so much. But coming back to what I was saying about the scales tipping, it's we're either having these extreme highs of like, wow, this is, you know, the quantum's really coming through me right now, I'm having this activation and that activation, and then the other end of the scale is boom, crash, like complete breakdown, losing things, like just really intense material things happening. And it's literally, I found personally that it's been like this for the last, you know, this is the second year, and this is all since we started moving deeper into this bifurcation, you know, through this bifurcation timeline splitting as I see it. And again, this is just my observations, and these are my experiences, and obviously sharing what I'm hearing from my clients and my students in my trainings and in personal sessions. You know, people are really being called to face the deep shadows now, and I'm not talking about necessarily, you know, a wound that they had in their childhood, but I'm talking like really deep stuff, going really deep into ancestral stuff, generational stuff, things that have happened ancestrally in our multidimensionality, because we don't just have our ancestral lineage. It's not just linear, it's not a horizontal linear through the bloodline, it literally is vertical, you know, going all the way up through the dimensional fields. So we're feeling this on a multidimensional level through the ancestral lineage, through our race lineages, that we're really feeling this on a fucking massive scale. excuse the expletives, but I'm a very expressive, and it's just massive what we're actually going through and what we're experiencing, and it's also fascinating at the same time. While it's like, wow, this is intense, like this shit is kicking my ass, and I'm seeing the shit kicking my people's ass. But at the same time, it's fascinating what we're experiencing. Like, you know, this is unprecedented, this timeline that we're going through, this whole period, this cycle. And I was having a dialogue with one of my community earlier, and we were just talking about all of the stuff that's coming up ancestrally and all of the stuff that's coming up generationally, because ultimately when we're healing and doing our deeper work, and we're really doing our multidimensional healing, we're healing through our race lineages, we're healing that within our own bodies, because we feel all of everything that we're experiencing through our multidimensional bodies. We're feeling this in our physical body. It literally filters down into our physical body. So some of the pain and trauma that we're feeling, it's not even necessarily something that we've experienced in this 3D reality. It's something that we could have experienced in another simultaneous parallel reality, in another dimensional field, you know, something that our soul or our oversoul is experiencing, or one of our soul fractals is experiencing some trauma, and we're really feeling this sadness, this grief, this trauma. And on the flip side of that, when the scales are tipping and we go through these periods of bliss, and then we could also be feeling that full activation of one of our fractals, or even something that's been filtered down into our own physical body through the work that we're doing, you know, through clearing our own inner entities and the external entities that we're constantly bombarded with. So yeah, it's intense. And what I was saying to my friend earlier, we just had a beautiful exchange, and if she's listening, she will know it's her that inspired me to share this, because, you know, she's also been going through some really, really deep, dark stuff with her family, and you know, and I was saying to her, you know, this is all coming up now for you to resolve. This is all for sure karmic contracts from other lifetimes. You know, most of us who are in this, you guys in my group, you're all aware of, you know, the karmic contracts that we have, that we've brought with us from other lifetimes into this lifetime, working through these unresolved karmic contracts that we've had with our loved ones in other lifetimes. You know, we've brought these in, you know, this is our inheritance that we've carried over from these other lifetimes, you know, to learn lessons, to grow, to resolve, and, you know, to evolve ourselves. You know, this is all part of our soul expression, and it's all part of our soul growth. You know, the universe is expressing itself through us as we're expressing ourselves through the universe. And ultimately, we are playing a role, and each one of our loved ones is playing a role. And, you know, we've experienced these particular shared traumas. You know, there can be trauma bonding contracts that we've experienced and shared with our parents, with our children, with our lovers, with our best friends, with close work colleagues. You know, we don't create karmic contracts with random strangers in a supermarket, right? These are contracts that we create with people that are really close to us. Our soul family, meaning our, you know, our family from the star systems that we've shared really deep bonds with, like, you know, Atlantean contracts, Lemurian contracts, Sumerian contracts, and contracts that we've had from, you know, from other star systems. And, you know, we're working through all of this, but ultimately we are being absolutely called, more so this last 2 years, I'm feeling that we're really being called to really work through these dark times now. And I also, a few years ago, when I started teaching my Akashic training, when I created my very first Akashic training program, those first 2 years, I really felt that there was a lot of Atlantis playing out during this time, and it's still playing out. You know, what we are feeling is a lot of the wars that are playing out now and a lot of this AI that's coming in, and a lot of the, you know, the technology that's been integrated, all this transhumanism that's been, this is all another cycle of stuff that we've already gone through in other lifetimes. And it's like, you know, it's literally come full circle. And what we do now, based on this bifurcation, what we do now is imperative to our evolution. And as most of you may be aware, you know, we're literally coming to the end of the Kali Yuga, which is basically the cycle of darkness. So everything that we have been experiencing over these last thousands of years as we've moved through Kali Yuga, it's all been dense and dark and wars and just atrocities that have been playing out, not just on our 3D Earth, but what's happening on a galactic scale as well. You know, this is, you know, what we're experiencing down here is another level of, it's kind of like, what's the word? It's happening in other galaxies on a different scale, you know, but what we're experiencing is electric wars and plasma wars, and I really feel that we're feeling this down here. But coming back to what I was saying regarding the Kali Yuga, you know, it is the age, as they call it, the age of darkness, and we're coming to the end of this cycle now and moving into the Dwapara Yuga cycle, which is the age of light. However, there's approximately 1,000-year transition. We're not going to see it in our body in this lifetime. The transitions approximately, so they say, approximately 1,000 years. So we're literally coming into this transition state, which is what I really feel a lot of us are really going through this now. So it's like coming to the end of this dark period and coming into this space of lightness. But ultimately, to get into this space of lightness, we've got to clear all this darkness. And again, I'm not just talking individually, I'm talking collectively, and this is what we're going to be going through over the next kind of 1,000 of years or so. But on the flip side of that, we're talking in the quantum as well. So there's, you know, in linear time we can talk 1,000 years, but in the quantum there is no years per se. So it's also happening simultaneously. And so what we are experiencing, I really apologize if you can hear this, we've got bulldozers digging kind of a kilometre away, but it's very loud. So apologies if you can hear that. What we are experiencing, let me just move into another room so I can close the doors. I'm going into my bathroom now to close the doors so you can hear me. Yeah, as we move through through this cycle, what we're experiencing is a lot of us have made that choice to step onto the higher timeline, and we literally want to create, you know, we're creating for our future. So it's really imperative this year, as we're in the numerological year 9, which is the year of completion, the year of completing karmic contracts, and also the year of the snake. So we are literally going through this shedding. So all roads have led to this point, and what we do this year is fundamentally important and vital, because it's literally as we enter 2026, which is hopefully going to be a little bit lighter, and we're coming into that rebirth, that new cycle. It's really important what we do this year and what we are creating this year and which timeline we choose. So for those of you who have been unaware of the bifurcation, of the timeline bifurcation and these two timelines splitting, it's really imperative now that those of you who are doing this work and you're in service, you're helping humanity, and you're helping humanity by healing yourself as well, because ultimately we influence our vibration, Our energy influences our environment just as our environment influences our energy. So it's imperative that, you know, that you continue doing the work and go really deep with your own work, so that you can work through the contracts that you want to work through. And you don't need to work with another person. It's being aware of your karmic contracts. But ultimately, you know, you can literally just command that you want all of the negative karmic contracts that are no longer serving you. You can make that command that you want to end these contracts and create new, more positive contracts that are more aligned to your soul purpose. And that's the next point on the scale. Is a lot of people are unaware of their purpose. They don't really know what they want to do, but that is because they've got so much density in their body. There's so much trauma, there's so much wounding, that they're not really, they haven't got any clarity on where they're going and what they actually want to do. So this is a really crucial time to do this work. And if you're not sure what you're doing, if you're not sure where you're going, but you know that you have a deeper purpose beyond your 3D role, so beyond your corporate job, beyond your working in a doctor's surgery or a supermarket or whatever it is that you're doing, if you know deep down that you've got this innate purpose to be of service and to help, then this is the year that you need to get clear and do the work that you need to do to help you to embody your own healing, so that you can then help other people. Because if you're not embodied as a healer, how can you help other people? You're going to be in conflict with your own integrity. You're going to be or you're going to feel like an imposter. You're going to feel fake. You're not going to feel authentic, and you are going to plagiarize. You're literally going to be just regurgitating other people's information. So once you can start clearing your own blocks, your own density, and you can start activating the dormant channels and the dormant DNA, the dormancy that's in your chakras and in all of your energy body. Once you start clearing that by releasing all of these old contracts that are not serving you, that are just keeping you quantum entangled with other timelines and keeping negative portals open to other timelines. That could be from your childhood, it could be from other lifetimes, it could be from other realms. You know, you're just going to keep going round and round in circles. So this is it really is crucial this year that you really dig deep, because this absolutely is a crucial time. And I know that we're just entering another astrological cycle, and it was just brought to my attention. Pam Gregory, I know some of you follow Pam Gregory, and you know, she was talking about the repetition of the cycles and what we experienced in March. This is to do with the equinoxes. What happened in March 2006 and what happened in September 2006 is going to repeat. And when my friend was talking about this with me, and I said to her, look, astrology is great. It's great to use as a tool, but what astrology, well, zodiac astrology, this is my personal opinion, and this is what I feel intrinsically myself, that tropical astrology and numerology, they're basically, it's a matrix that predetermines collectively what is happening, and we do not have to be predetermined. Our life doesn't have to be predetermined by what the stars say, and again, you know, going into the science of zodiac astrology, it's working only with the solar cycles. I prefer to work with true sky astrology, because it's literally in the integration of the universe you know, not just of the solar cycles. And there's nothing wrong with tropical astrology. A lot of people poo-poo it and talk it's all part of the matrix, it's all artificial, false. It's not, but they just work with the solar cycles. So I prefer to work, as I said, with the whole, you know, in wholeness with everything. But it's great to use it as a tool to kind of understand the cycles that play out, because you can work with that. You are the driver and you are the creator of your reality. So when you realize, like, okay, so this is what I experienced on the last 20-year cycle. So if this cycle's about to repeat itself collectively, individually, then, you know, if you had a great, you know, if your timeline around that time was amazing, then jump back on that timeline. But if it wasn't, if it was a traumatic timeline and you were having difficulties, then change it. Work with that to change it, you know, so that it's not something that's going to repeat. And this is what tends to happen with these cycles, that they can, you know, we can allow them to repeat. And it's same with for anybody that's aware of the Saturn return. Like, I've been working with my Saturn return this last few years because I'm coming into my second Saturn return, and it's the same kind of theory that you know, whatever happened on your last Saturn return is going to play out. And I saw that happen in my, obviously the Saturn return is based on where Saturn was in your chart when you were born, you know, and it usually plays out between every 27 and 29 years. So you can actually Google, I know some of you did my Saturn return class, not last year, the year before that I did. I think I actually shared it on YouTube, so it might actually be on my YouTube channel where I talk about this and tell you how to work out your Saturn return. But anyway, you can just Google Saturn return and you can see the Saturn return calculator, and you put your date of birth in and it will tell you what your Saturn return, and it's approximately every 28 years. But it, like I said, it plays out between every 27 to 29 years. And so what I was saying to my friend this morning, when I was 27, I started having massive panic attacks and I felt like I couldn't breathe. And I just put it down to the space that I was in at the time, the stuff that I was going through. I was going through releasing a lot of trauma. Anyway, it was only a few years ago when I did my trauma training and this Saturn return theory entered my field through a friend. And when I went back into that and I realised that when I was born, I got stuck in the birth canal and I got the cord stuck around my leg and I couldn't get out. I was literally stuck in the birth canal. So when I was 27, I obviously went through that cycle again and I couldn't breathe. And interestingly, I had the same last year. And then I realised when I started going into this hyperventilation, I realised, Saturn return, okay, and so I was working with it to help me to work through that and to release that trauma from my body, because I knew it was something that was coming up again to be addressed. So my point is, working with these cycles, working with astrology and numerology are amazing tools to help you, because it like I said, it's a predetermined collective vibration. And when you've got that, when you work with that energy, and again at the beginning of this year I think the first session that I did in January was about working with our particular personal year. So if you haven't seen that, hop back to that first in January it was, where we were working with our personal year and the vibration of our personal year, and what actually was present for you during that cycle and what you wanted to work with this year, so that you could literally embody that and create it. So coming back to what I was saying at the start of this video, it is super, super, super important this year that you literally jump on what it is that you want to create. Next year is the 1 year. What do you want to birth next year in 2026 as we're coming to that rebirth? Because again, it's collective. So we can't necessarily escape the collective energy, but we can work with it, and we can make it work for us, because we are the drivers, we are the creators. So what do you want to create next year, and what do you need to release and let go of in order to create what it is that you want to create? What do you want to embody? What do you want to do? And you know, this is something that I teach and I go really deep within my trainings and in my one-to-one sessions, you know, because it's getting crystal clear. And as I said, if you don't know what that is, because you're lost, because you literally can't see the wood for the trees, because you're just full of wounds and pain and density and distortion, then I really recommend to work with, you know, somebody that can mentor you through it, and that's going to help to empower you. And I don't just mean going and having a Reiki healing. I mean, it's time to do the deep work, the shadow work, and the deep shadow work, ancestrally, generationally, multidimensionally, and really tapping into your inner child and working with your inner child, and not just, you know, not doing superficial. It's, you know, the time of superficial healing's done. We've moved on from Reiki, we've moved on from energy healing. Now we're getting really deep into working on a psycho-spiritual level, as I see it. You know, there's only, while Reiki is beautiful and it's really nice to have a rebalance, it's just treating symptoms. It's not getting to the root. It's not getting deep into it's not revealing your shadows. I mean, you can, but it can take years of working with that energy to get really deep into the core and actually reveal a shadow. So I really feel, for me, that working at a quantum level, you know, working in the Akashic field is imperative to help. And I know there's a lot of my facilitators in this group who've done the training with me. So yeah, any of you who've done the training with me, comment under this video and let people see you. Fucking show yourselves, right? Start posting your stuff out there to people. Send your links under this video. I want to see all of you posting your web links and what your niche is and how you're helping people. And for those of you who are doing the deeper, darker shadow work, the shamanic work, post your links, you know. It's really time to be seen, you know, step out of your own shadow. And by that, I don't mean the shadows. I mean, just open the door and let yourself be seen, so people can find you and help them to do this work, because there's a heck of a lot of people out there who really need help with this. And this year for me is super, super important that we can, you know, for all of us to do the deeper work, me included. You know, we've all been going through massive shifts and huge material shifts. I think for me personally, over the last 2 years, I've been going through a lot of 3D changes, and it's really been shaking my own foundations. But thankfully, I've got a massive toolkit to work with that helps me to maintain that balance. Otherwise, I think I would have probably had a nervous breakdown by now. But yeah, all of these amazing tools I've got to work with, and understanding the bigger picture perspective, because I always look at the bigger picture. I'm always looking at the timelines, you know, what's happening on a quantum scale, you know, looking into the spectrum of, I thought the digger had stopped, but it hasn't. Looking at the spectrum of the vibrational scale and what's actually happening on a quantum level, not just what's happening around me, what's happening with this war, that war. It's literally happening on a multidimensional scale, and bringing that into the work that I'm doing with my training programs, with my students, and of course working individually on one-to-ones with people. So anyway, I will leave it there. I just really felt like sharing this today because, as I said, I've been quiet myself because it's been all about the cats this last 2 weeks. And I've been quiet because I just haven't had the energy to facilitate and to do anything. But anyway, here I am coming back to my centre, and as my cat's recovering from her operation, and yeah, I just, after this dialogue I had with my friend earlier, I just really felt like sharing this, because yeah, it's what timeline do you want to choose? Are you stepping on the higher timeline? Are you ready to anchor and embody and really tap into your higher intelligence? Or are you going to stay in victim? Are you going to stay on that lower timeline, stuck in your miserable 9-to-5 job? Or, you know, are you going to step into your power and, yeah, up level? Because this really is the time for up leveling and shifting on so many levels, you know, in consciousness, in, you know, on a dimensional scale. You know, you can't be in 5D when you're literally stuck in that victim of 3D, and you're stuck in your victim contracts, and you're looking always for a savior, this is happening on a massive scale. We're seeing all this playing out in the US with Trump. We're still in this victim savior collective narrative, and we're done with this now. It's done. And so yeah, I'll get off my soapbox now. So if you've got this far without turning off, thank you for listening. Please comment below. I would love to hear all your additional shares. There's just so much that I want to say, but people don't like long lives. They just don't. If it's a long, you know, they turn the video on. If it's like 2 hours long, they just switch off. So I'd like to keep things short and sweet, and I can expand on things further. But I would love to hear your comments, your shares, your additions, your thoughts, what input you have additionally to what I've said, something that I haven't said, because I haven't made any notes today. It was just a random, hey, do you know what, I'm going to do a live. So this is, yeah, completely random. And yeah, please share your links to your websites, to the work that you do, so people can find you, people can see you. You know, ultimately being seen is all part of healing your own wounds, because a lot of healers still, even on my Akashic trainings, I've been teaching this 5 years now, and still healers, it's the witch wounds and the healer wounds, the fear of being seen. And even though a bunch of my facilitators even now are just like, they've got this fear of being seen, because there's all this persecution and patriarchy that we've gone through over millennia, and it's still so prevalent. We're still seeing it playing out on a quantum scale, and it's time for we women healers to to just step out. It's part of our healing. You know, when you show up and you put yourself out. I used to be terrified of doing videos, like, oh my goodness, how do I look? Oh, I've got to be perfect. I don't care now. I honestly don't care how I look. It's not about how I look, it's my energy. You know, I'm not a model, I'm not Claudia Schiffer. I'm just little old me. My soul is beautiful, my soul is shining, my light is shining, and that's all I can do is just shine, 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 and you shine your light. Let people find, because people are drawn to your light, not your beauty. They're drawn, your light is your beauty, right? So just let yourself be seen, let people find you, put yourself out there online, start to get ballsy, start to own your shit, own your power, and yeah, just don't let yourself be silent anymore. I've really started communicating so much more in groups that normally I've been so quiet, because one, I don't want to get involved in people's dramas, but now it's like, it's just time to start getting assertive, compassionately assertive, and calling people out. And I don't mean calling people out, undermining them and putting them down, but just calling out the drama from a compassionate space, to plant seeds and help people to see a different perspective and see the perspective from the higher timeline. So I'm not calling people out and engaging with their drama. I'm calling it out from a higher perspective in a neutral perspective that's helping to potentially shine a light on a situation that could otherwise spiral into further density and darkness. And if you do it kindly and compassionately, people listen to you. But it's really time that we started to do this now from a authentic space and a heart space, because there's a lot of healers out there who have suddenly, there's this massive shift suddenly where all of these healers are calling out false prophets and calling people out in a negative way. And we don't need to do that, you know. We can just communicate it in a nice way, in a positive way, to help people to see where they potentially can't see, you know, see the dark corners that they can't potentially see. We don't need to call out a specific calling out somebody in a nasty way. Some of you might have seen my post about the Sadhguru the other day. Like, I loved that guy, and I was gutted when I saw his, you know, all of the stuff that started coming out about him a few years ago. I was gutted because I thought, wow, this guy's so wise, he's so funny, he reaches a lot of people. It's such a shame that these influencers start losing the way. But they lose the way because they become corrupted, you know. They're targeted by the BlackRock and Vanguard people. They literally target them and they pull them into their fold because they're influencers and they're reaching a lot of people. And so they invite them into the World Economic Forum and the New World Order organizations. They invite them in. That doesn't mean to say that that person's become corrupted. This happened with the Dalai Lama a few years ago. Doesn't mean they're corrupted, because they can be shining the light from the inside of these organizations. But then, it's always pays to keep an open mind, you know, not just jump blindly and follow what people are saying. Oh, Dalai Lama's corrupted, he's telling everybody to get vaccinated. You know, the guy thought he was doing the right thing. He obviously didn't do it. He blindly followed the narrative as well. Had he done his own research, he wouldn't have done what he did. And the same with Sadhguru, and the same with many other people. They just blindly follow a fear-based narrative because they've not embodied what they're teaching. Sadhguru has not embodied what he's teaching. The Dalai Lama hasn't embodied, even though he's a monk. You would think that as a monk he would have embodied what he's teaching, but he clearly hasn't. And you can really, this is what we're seeing now. All of these influencers that are not embodied. And now what's coming out is all of the shadows of these people is literally coming out. You know, we are, as the cliche, you know, the light is being shone on all of the shadows, and it really is. But it's also been shone on our shadows, and so rather than projecting all our stuff externally, it's time to really go deep and go in, so that we can, as I said, to wrap this up, coming to the, you know, working with this 9 year, working with the year of completion, to work through your traumas, work through your pains, work through the contracts, you know, work through the cycles that you need to work through, to let go of attachments that are keeping you entangled in old timelines and keeping these negative portals open that are allowing astral and psychic entities to jump into your fields. You know, it's being aware of all of this so you can maintain a spiritual, your own spiritual integrity, and to keep your spiritual immune system, which is your light body, to keep it in a harmonic resonance, you know, with natural laws, and not being pulled into false laws and false timelines, artificial timelines. So yeah, I was going to be launching it this month, but just because of everything that's happened, it's pushed back. But I'm going to be doing my plasma course. I'm going to be launching it in April now. But we're going to be going massively deep into all the quantum mechanics stuff and working through all the dimensional scales. Because for me, I really do believe that you know, working with the plasma body is the next part of our evolution. And so this is something that I've only been previously sharing with my trainees and those that have wanted to do the advanced training with me, but I'm opening it up to the public, basically to healers and light workers, starseeds, indigos, not for beginners. It's not for beginners because it is intense, but I'm going to be launching that at some point in April, so I'll keep you all posted. If it's something you're interested in, just drop hashtag plasma below and I'll put you on the list. And when I've worked out the dates, and it could be end of April time, but when I've worked out the dates I'll let you know. But of course I will share it. I will share it in the group as well. And yeah, please comment below. Please drop a love, drop a like, drop a comment. Yeah, I really want to see some collaborations and some people sharing. So yeah, thanks for listening, and I wish you all a beautiful, amazing, amazing day and an amazing week ahead. And yeah, we're coming into next week the equinox. So yeah, we're starting to see the return of the light again, which is really nice. Not that it matters here in Thailand because we get 12 hours of light every day. But for you guys in the northern hemisphere, yeah, it's I heard the weather's been really nice for you this weekend, so I'm really happy for you that you've had some sun. And yeah, get ready for the next wave of energies coming from the equinox, and start creating already what you want to receive from this light, you know, because ultimately when there are equinoxes, you know, the frequency fences, as you know, I call them frequency fences or frequency blockers, they like to start sending out their negative broadcasts and radio wave impulses to try to negate, you know, the light that's coming through. So just make sure that you're anchored, you're grounded, and yeah, that your body can hold the light, because ultimately if your body's full of density and distortion, then you're not going to be able to hold that light. It's going to fry your circuits. So just start doing your daily, energy balancing, energy mastery, and yeah, if anybody wants to work with me on a one-to-one, just get in touch. I'm always open, and I'll be ready to take on in the next couple of weeks some more clients. I'm catching up with clients over the last 2 weeks, but yeah, in 2 weeks I'll be taking on some more clients. So just reach out anytime. All right, my loves, have a beautiful day, and see you all soon. Coming from my bathroom where I'm hiding because of the bulldozer behind my house. Bye, loves. See you soon.